Hey folks, a very special Azure Cosmos DB TV. Welcome, I'm Mark Brown, and I'm joined this week by our Vice President, Kirill Gavrylyuk. How are you, sir?
Oh, hey everyone. Thanks, Mark, for hosting me. Love the show. Always a big fan. And all good. We just wrapped up builds last week, and it was probably one of the most exciting builds that I remember.
It really turned into something quite remarkable. I didn't know what to expect. But this was probably the biggest showing we've ever had at Build in the history of everything. So we wanted to kind of show everybody kind of what happened, and give them a recap if they missed, and then just give them an opportunity just to tease them and say, hey, here's what you missed. Go check it out. So let's spend a few minutes kind of talking about, I guess, everything we highlighted at Build this week.
Yeah, definitely. I think what I really liked about Cosmos DB presence at Build is that we've covered end-to-end all aspects of the modern app development. Obviously, we spent a lot of time on AI, and that's on everyone's mind, right? AI really revolutionized the industry. It's disrupting every use case, every scenario. Used a lot. Just for the sake of sharing some background data, roughly 38% of all Cosmos DB usage now comes from apps that use AI one way or the other. It's a staggering number.
It's staggering when you look back 2 years. That was zero.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean that it's not just like new apps added, but it's also existing apps adopted AI.
That's right, modernizing. Right.
Yeah. It's like it's everywhere. And some of these scenarios are very simple, just chats, chatbots, chat assistants, and some of them are fairly elaborate and interesting. And of course, among them all, OpenAI is really a big one, right? So Scott have spent a good portion of his keynote at Build describing how OpenAI ChatGPT is built on Azure, right? So it runs on Azure, uses Azure services, it uses Kubernetes, of course, it uses Cosmos DB for the data tier, and he spent quite a bit of time on the data tier, right? And this is just kind of a little bit deeper look into how OpenAI grew and scaled on Cosmos DB. This is OpenAI Cosmos DB usage, right? And you can see how they went from zero at a staggering pace to $250 billion close of daily transactions. And it's now a 10 petabyte size database. It's an amazing scale, and the growth, especially the growth from zero to that amount in just short of 2 years, right?
You guys are all that's all running in a single account, right?
They have few, but this number says the biggest database, right? They're running ChatGPT. They have many. They have roughly about 40 different workloads run on Cosmos.
But what we're seeing here is largely driven by
ChatGPT itself, of course.
Yeah,
is the biggest workload. But they use Cosmos for memory. They use Cosmos for any user interactions that you do with OpenAI across a variety. And they add new things, new experiences practically daily.
That kind of is the way normal customers work with Cosmos, is once they try it and use it and realize how great it is, they start using it everywhere, or at least on lots of different workloads. So OpenAI is turning into a very typical customer for us.
Well, I mean, I don't think they're typical, but the use case, yes, the way is, and the key is why they adopted Cosmos. And many folks, of course, read immediately into scale, and scale is important. Of course, there are a few databases like close to zero that can take the scale, right? Every large cloud provider, every hyperscaler has one database that can do it. But the more important is other things on top of it, right? Is how easy it is to change the data model, to evolve the app. For OpenAI, that's actually was the leading reason why they chose Cosmos at first, is how easy it is to iterate. then how easy it is to scale. It just transparently scales. And Cosmos is probably the leader across the 3 clouds between Dynamo, Spanner, and Cosmos. Cosmos is a leader on the elasticity front, on how easy it is to scale out transparently to the app. And then of course, the reliability of it, etc. But the first and number one leading reason for OpenAI was how schemaless, how easy it is to iterate on the data, on the app, on the data model without making any changes to the database. That was critical.
That's fascinating. Yeah.
Now, of course, we spend a lot of time on AI, right? Like Bill was generally, that was the theme, right? The dominant theme, and it's a dominant theme for conversations in any companies that does anything with software today. But we released made generally available the semantic search capabilities in Cosmos, right? We now have vector search, which is a leading performance / cost vector search offering across the board. You may have seen the video of interview with DocuSign that we've shared earlier, and It's available on our feed. It's up to 50 times was better in cost and perf than the dedicated vector search offerings that DocuSign have tried, right? And I'm not going to dig the competitors by name, but you know who they are. And this is Cosmos. That's a benefit of adding vector search and full text search and hybrid search into a mature, scalable serverless database, as opposed to building a dedicated solution. Because that's what databases are really good at, and specifically Cosmos is really good at cost performance. It's serverless cost efficiency is one of the things that we invested a lot in. We also released new updates to our full text search capability. So fuzzy search, multi-language. There is a nice demo that we also shared on the feed that covers all these. And it's really about scale, about performance, about cost efficiencies. It's great for multi-tenant apps. And I'm often asked, okay, so when should I use this versus AI search, right? You're never asked this question, right?
I never ever hear this question.
So I think that's a fascinating topic, and the answer is very simple, right? It's if you're building an app and you care about performance, you care about reliability, you care about cost efficiency because there's a lot of interactions, then you're looking for Cosmos DB for your semantic search capabilities. Because that's what the Cosmos DB is built for. It's to run operational workloads. This is an offering for the apps. If you're looking for an analytical use case, now you want to do a search over a lake of documents, etc., then AI search has amazing natural language capabilities, right? And so that's kind of really, it's the operational workloads, apps versus analytical workloads. Operational workloads use Cosmos DB. Analytical workloads use AI search.
It's really simple when you think about it, right? Like it's still a database underneath, and AI search is still a search engine, a knowledge management solution. And like you would never confuse those two things prior to vector search in there. There were distinct use cases for when you would apply both, or you would maybe use them together. But it seems like in these days, the addition of vector search has kind of confused customers a bit and others as to when to use which. But to me, it's always been kind of clear. I think things got muddy, but it's helpful to help explain.
It's becoming really the next version of query, right? Like just queries are going up in the level of semantics, and so they're becoming richer, right? So vector search is just like it's as important as contains operator.
Yeah.
Do you ever worry about, should I use, Fabric to do contains operator, or should I use a database to do contains operator? It's, depends what your use case is. Use Lake, right? And operational use database.
Yeah.
So another good stuff that comes out is a lot of exciting new capabilities around AI Foundry, and one of them is integration of Cosmos DB, right? So now we can do we can configure AI agent service with Cosmos DB to store memory threads in Cosmos DB. And it's very simple. You go to AI Foundry portal, right? And and you can add new connection. You can select Cosmos DB, your Cosmos DB account. You can either create new or provide existing. And then you can do the same with a simple bicep template, right? And so once you deploy this agent to AI agent service, then it's there, and it's going to start using the your Cosmos database to store the threads, to store memory, and it's data under your control. It is your data. You can test this in Playground. You can configure it with additional tools, with an MCP server, etc. I have this demo, I think, shared on the feed, so you guys can try it. But it's very exciting. It's make it very simple to build agents, and agents really is a new kind of REST API, right? It's always modern app development.
These are like little microservices, aren't they? I mean, just
really everything goes. I'm hoping folks won't go overboard. There is no reason to do an agent for a calculator, but really,
someone's going to do it.
Have a lot of agents built because AI Foundry definitely makes it super easy, and now with Cosmos DB.
Yep.
But that was AI. So we spent a lot of AI, but apps still need to be built, and not every app AI will build for you completely, at least not yet, right? So developers are still needed. We still have jobs, which is important. And so global secondary index so we added quite a few capabilities in the core database, right? And some of them customers have been asking for years, right? So I'm very excited that we added global secondary index. This is something that customers have asked us for, right? This is capabilities that allows you to define a global index with a different partition key, different indexing policy, right? And now if you need to add a query to your existing collection and the partition key is not quite right for that query and you end up with a fan out, the global secondary index allows you to avoid fan out. So it will reduce the number of cross-partition queries a lot. And that's great, right? Because cross-partition queries is this evil thing, right? It's very dangerous. It can, you think that you can seamlessly scale out, but once your query is a full fan out, you can't really scale out. Like you just eliminated ability to scale out your workload. So global secondary index super important. A lot of applications I think going to become much easier with this.
I mean, customers looking to implement or are implementing CQRS pattern or a material SV pattern within their solutions they're gonna love this, right? Because now there's a lot of plumbing you got to do yourself and a lot of moving parts, and this just drastically simplifies all of that.
Yeah, and the key part there is that your source container is not impacted by the queries that go to GSI, right?
Yeah, and you're not paying for compute to move the data, and you're only serverless billing on the reads for this thing, right? Yep. So it's not only easier but cheaper.
Very exciting new thing.
Yeah,
right?
This is great.
Another important part that goes into the core of the database, right? It has nothing to do with AI, etc. It's per-partition automatic failover, and this one deserves a little bit of attention. We came up with this Cosmos now having zero downtime, zero data loss at zero touch, no intervention. And of course, there is CAP theorem, right? So like, can you really do zero downtime and zero data loss ever? It's close. Per-partition auto failover allows us to navigate really close. So Cosmos DB always navigated at the edges of CAP theorem to maintain a high availability, but allow you to make trade-offs between the consistency and latency, right? Mm-hmm. And so you can go super fast with the and 5 nines with the current multi-region right? Let's do this picture, right? So on the left side, this is existing capability, has been there for years, really mature, Walmart.com, lots of Microsoft properties, lots of other customers are using multi-region write capability. That gives you peace of mind. The entire region can be taken out and your application will not notice it because your multi-region active, one region can go out, the other two continue to work, and writes go into local database. You can write into any of the regions configured on your database, and there is no leader election, there is no failover involved. It's just active, you continue to write no matter what. But you cannot achieve strong consistency, right? So if one region goes down, whatever tentative writes that went there, they will stay there until that region comes back, right? So it's eventual. You can do session consistency. You can navigate. You can do bounded staleness, but there's always some trade-off between consistency and this active. And what bugs us about it is that it was a trade-off between consistency and availability, which was never the goal, right? Like availability should always be 5 nines, no matter what your workload is. It's okay to trade off latency for consistency, right? Like, so that seems logical. But why would you want customers to trade off availability over consistency? And so per-partition out of failover on the right allows you to effectively extending our current local Paxos, local HA, local automatic leader election to global replica set. So now we are electing leader across all 3 regions, all regions configured. You can have as many regions as you want. And we will automatically, for every partition, we'll decide which region is going to be the leader, and rights will go there. But if anything happens to that region, rights will switch to another region. And that happens fast. I don't think we'll have time for kind of quick demo, but we have this demo available in the Resilient Apps session at Build, and we're going to add it to our feed as well.
Yep.
So please do watch it. It's magical, right? It's like within 30 seconds we detect, and under a minute we do complete failover of this individual partition, and we do not touch the rest of the account.
Yep.
If only that partition goes down, it automatically switches to another region. And this way you can have strongly consistent Cosmos DB database. You can have any consistency you want. Your rights, you will never have duplicate, you will never have conflict in your rights, because rights always go to one source, to one leader globally, while reads come from everywhere. So that's kind of where, yes, there is a little bit of latency involved. If you want global strong, your writes will be slightly slower. Your reads will be still super fast local. Your writes will be slower depending where the right region is for this partition. But your availability is always 5 nines. And if you chose stronger consistency, you have 0 data loss ever, right? Like it's never, you never lose a bit. So that's gonna, we'll skip the demo for this one.
But people should go check that out. It is magical. I remember I launched Multi-Master when I joined the team back in 2018 at Ignite. So I'm very much a fan of that and loved demoing it. But you always had to merge conflicts because there was no strong consistency in there, and you could get into a situation where you had conflicts. And this, by the way, does away with it, and it does the failover and the restore by itself. Like you don't have to touch anything. So it is magical. I love this feature, by the way. So anyway,
yeah, we'll have a lot of apps now. Like you don't have to choose anymore. Any app can take advantage of 5 nines with Cosmos DB now, right? It doesn't matter what the app is, whether you need single writer capability, or you're okay with multi-writer. You get 5 nines. And you can choose how consistent you want to be.
That's right. And your app doesn't need to care or know any of it. So, yep.
Okay, last but not least, we have a lot of ISVs and a lot of customers that have many databases, right? Cosmos DB has been in the market for a while. People have built apps. There are many databases. Many of our customers have thousands of databases. So what do they do with them, right? Like managing them one by one is a pain. So now we have Cosmos DB fleets, and that's exciting for especially our multi-tenant applications, right? Like Microsoft itself, like around 70% of Microsoft Cloud runs on Cosmos DB. It's the biggest database, the largest database that's used by Microsoft, and it's by itself. And Microsoft has many tenants, and so they definitely. We have many teams looking for it, and so are other multi-tenant apps out there using Cosmos. So what does it mean? You can now manage your databases as a fleet of databases, which means aggregated view on the metrics, aggregated insights, and we'll keep adding more and more capabilities there. But you also have ability to pool your throughput across multiple databases. And that's exciting, right? Because You may have hundreds of databases. One of them is active, the other ones maybe not. But you have to there's some minimum RUs, right, that everyone is eating. So in this case, you're pulling throughput across multiple tenants. And what's important is that now ISVs that are kind of selling solutions to other enterprises, they don't have to trade off between cost and secure isolation, right? Every of these database accounts can have their own custom managed keys, encryption keys, etc. And you can still share throughput capacity across. And there could be any number of them, right? There are no limits. It's not like elastic pools and relational databases, which are limited by the size of the VM. In this case, you can have as many tenants as you want, as many databases as you want, and you can share RUs across them.
It's definitely the best of all worlds here, and this has been a long time coming. And like you said, like our ISV customers are going to love this, and lots of multi-tenant ISV SaaS providers want to use Cosmos and are going to, or using it now. Are going to take advantage of this thing. But I love it. Single pane of glass to manage and monitor all this stuff, the throughput pooling, all the isolation. I mean, this checks a lot of boxes for customers wanting to build these types of solutions on us. So this is a very major announcement. I think this one kind of slipped below the radar because of all the AI going on, but this is a pretty major announcement for us.
Yeah. And I think that's what I loved about our story at Build is that it was not AI only, right? Yeah. Yes, we had a lot of exciting capabilities on AI front, but it's not just that. We still care, and we continue to innovate and continue to advance the core capabilities of the database. And multi-tenant apps is one of our key customers and type of customers, and we love them, and we will continue to innovate.
With them. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, that was a quick recap of Build. There's like 20 or 30 sessions that go into detail of this. Please watch them all.
It was a lot. And our multi-agent workshop, there was actually multiple agent workshops using Cosmos. There was the one we did on how to build for LangGraph and how to build on semantic kernel. And that's available on GitHub. People can come find me on Twitter, and I'll show them where that is.
Awesome.
And then all the other sections as well. Oh, do we want to talk about this?
Yeah, we haven't covered. So there were the two important announcements we haven't covered. So I'll just name them. There are lots of, I think we spent a lot of time in sessions on them. One of them is MongoDB Core. That's kind of one of the fastest growing APIs in Cosmos. It all gives you Mongo compatible database with all the bells and whistles and much cheaper than say Atlas, and it had a lot of enterprise readiness and AI capabilities added there. So please watch that session. And of course, we added a lot of. We continue to add and improve our tooling experience. So VS Code extensions for both Cosmos RU and vCore, and Cosmos in Fabric. That was a major announcement at Build, and we spent a lot of time at keynotes on this. So I won't spend a lot of time here, but Cosmos in Fabric, it really gives you an end-to-end SaaS experience for your end-to-end of app. And especially if you have apps, and AI apps very commonly use a lot of data science magic, right? And now you have one product, one experience where you can go and work on your data and work on your app. And Cosmos DB is that bridge, right, between data and the app. Because, for example, you can take a data set that is super magical and you can offer it to your app by reverse CTL into Cosmos very seamlessly with Fabric. No extra effort. And now you can serve it to your apps with high scale, high concurrency, low latency. So yeah, please do. If you missed that, I don't think you could miss that at Build. But if you missed that, please do watch the keynote demos and sessions on Cosmos and Fabric.
Yep. More great stuff. Kirill, thank you so much. There's a slide in here. Build is great. We got Ignite 2025 in November down at Moscone Center in San Francisco. I don't think Ignite has ever been in San Francisco, so this will be fun. Awesome. Maybe better than Chicago in November. Chicago wasn't too bad actually, but this ought to be good.
we'll see you guys all there. And until then, we'll keep pumping more and more exciting stuff in Cosmos DB.
Absolutely. So, Kirill, thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Sorry,